How do you analyze the offer on a contract's essay question? Remember, to form a traditional enforceable contract, there's going to be 3 requirements: offer, acceptance, and consideration. You need all 3 of these things to form a traditional enforceable contract. Sometimes you'll hear offer and acceptance referred to as mutual assent between the parties. All that means is that you have an offer and acceptance of that offer. You add in consideration, you're going to have a traditional enforceable contract. But in today's video, we just want to focus on this first requirement, which is the offer. How does a person go about creating a valid offer in order to form a traditional enforceable contract? Well, to form a valid offer, the offeror must manifest an objective willingness to enter into the agreement. The offeror must create a power of acceptance in the offeree, and the offeror must specify all necessary terms to the deal, okay? So we're gonna break down these 3 elements in a lot of detail, go over some examples, but let's start with this first element that's required to form a valid offer. So the offeror must, number 1, manifest an objective willingness to enter into the agreement. The key word here is objective. The offer is going to be governed by an objective test. This just means that outward actions are determinative, not subjective hidden intentions. So if I look at you and say, I offer to sell you this dry erase marker for $5, all of my outward actions demonstrate a manifestation of willingness to enter into the agreement. There's nothing that I'm doing here outwardly that a reasonable person wouldn't interpret as a manifestation of willingness to enter into the agreement. If I look right at you and say, I offer to sell you this dry erase marker for $5. Now, let's say at the same time, I have my fingers crossed behind my back. You can't see on the camera, but I promise my fingers are crossed behind my back at the same time. And inside, I have no intention of selling you this marker. I have no intent. Maybe it's a joke, whatever. I don't actually want to. I have no subjective intent to sell you this marker. But my outward actions and appearances, a reasonable person would interpret to be a manifestation of willingness to enter into the agreement. So it doesn't matter if my fingers are crossed behind my back and I say, I offer to sell you this dry erase marker for $5, but I say it with a straight face. There's no outward action that would demonstrate that I'm not willing to enter into the agreement. Clearly there we have objective willingness to enter into the agreement. So the key with this first element is all about the objective test. We don't care what the offeror's hidden subjective intentions are. If the outward actions and appearances of the offeror manifest a willingness to enter into the agreement, that's going to be enough to satisfy this first element. We don't care about subjective hidden intentions, okay? Moving on to the power of acceptance. So to form a valid offer, the offeror must create a power of acceptance in the offeree. What is a power of acceptance? Basically, if the offeree can say, I accept, and know that he or she has concluded the deal, then you have power of acceptance. So if I look at you and say, I offer to sell you this dry erase marker for $5, can you simply say, I accept, and know that you've concluded the deal? Yes, you can easily say, I accept, and you've concluded the deal. I offer to sell you this for $5, this dry erase marker for $5. You can say, I accept that offer, Michael, and we have a deal. So I'm creating a power of acceptance in you, the offeree, when I say, I will sell you this dry erase marker for $5. I'm conferring a power of acceptance to you, the offeree. Okay, now where power of acceptance can get a little bit tricky is in several situations. Number 1, if you're not directing the offer at a specific offeree. So imagine that instead of looking right at you and saying, I offer to sell you this dry erase marker for $5, imagine that I'm looking into a crowd of people. Say I'm in Times Square and I've got a megaphone and I'm walking around shouting to the public at large on this megaphone, I'm offering to sell this marker for $5. Any takers, right? That is not going to be creating a power of acceptance in any offeree. I'm not directing that offer at any specific person. Therefore, it doesn't create a power of acceptance. Nobody can simply say, I accept, and know that they've concluded the deal, right? It has to be directed at a specific offeree. Imagine that I'm offering to you as well. I'm saying, I offer to sell you this dry erase marker for $5. And let's say that there's a guy behind me, right here, a window cleaner, right? Cleaning the window, and he's like, oh, that's a great deal. I accept. I'm not creating a power of acceptance in this guy, the window cleaner behind me. I'm creating a power of acceptance in you, right? So just some things to look out for with power of acceptance. A couple other issues here. The main exception you're going to see to this idea that an offer has to be directed to a specific offeree is going to be contest offers and reward offers. So if I go outside and post a flyer up that says, say I lost my cat, right? And I'm offering a reward of $100 to anybody who can find and return my cat to me. So I go around and post a bunch of flyers and say, if anybody finds my cat and returns it to me, I'll pay you $100, even though I'm not directing that at any specific offeree, because it's an exception to this rule that's going to be allowed. So even though I'm not creating a power of acceptance in any specific offeree, if I'm offering a contest offer or a reward offer, it's an exception to this idea of a power of acceptance has to be conferred to a specific offeree, right? The other place that you will see an issue with power of acceptance is going to be invitations to deal and primarily advertisements. But let's say that I say to you something like, what do you think about me selling you this dry erase marker for $5? Do you think this dry erase marker is worth $5? Any question like that is not going to create a power of acceptance in the offeree. Can you simply say, I accept, and know that you've concluded the deal? No, I'm just asking, do you think this dry erase marker is worth $5? You can't say, I accept. I haven't created a power of acceptance in you, the offeree. That's an invitation to deal. That's more just, what do you think about this dry erase marker? Or how much do you think this dry erase marker is worth? You can't say, I accept to any of those types of questions and know that you've concluded the deal. So in that case, we're not going to have a power of acceptance being conferred to the offeree, so there is no offer. Okay, and another situation where you see this is going to be advertisements. Say that there's a newspaper ad or a TV ad, a radio ad, right? And most of the time, those are not going to be directed at a specific offeree, so they're not conferring a power of acceptance. So as a general rule, advertisements are an invitation to deal. They are not offers, okay? Now there is a rare exception. If an advertisement is extremely specific, it identifies every aspect of the deal, it's very, very specific, it could be an exception and could create a power of acceptance in the offeree, in which case we're going to say that that ad, if it's very, very specific, could actually be a valid offer to form a contract, okay? So one more element that we need to talk about in terms of forming a valid offer for purposes of a traditional enforceable contract, and that's going to be that the offeror must specify all the necessary terms of the deal, okay? So we're going to have some different rules whether you're dealing with the common law or UCC. So under the common law, what are all of the necessary terms that have to be specified? Let me just draw this out. Under the common law, you're going to have parties, subject, quantity, and price, right? Under the UCC, you don't have to specify the price. So it's just going to be parties, subject, and quantity. All right, this could be confusing. Let me just rewrite price right here, price. So under the common law, generally the offeror is gonna have to specify the following four terms. That's gonna be parties, subject, quantity, and price. Under the UCC, remember the UCC is more willing to plug the gaps. So if you're dealing with the purchase or sale of a good and the UCC applies, then we don't need a price term. The UCC is going to be more willing to plug the gaps and come up with a price term for that contract. But let's just take another, sticking with the same dry erase marker example. So if I say, I offer to sell you this dry erase marker for $5, what terms am I specifying? Do we have parties? Yes, I'm saying I'm offering to sell you. So the parties are identified. The subject is this dry erase marker. The quantity is 1. I'm saying I will sell you this 1 dry erase marker, and I'm saying for $5. So in that case, all 4 of the required terms are going to be there. But remember, that's under the common law. A dry erase marker, this is a purchase or sale of a good. So we're not in common law territory. We're under the UCC. So I don't even have to say the price. If I said, I offer to sell you this dry erase marker, right? I've identified the parties. I offer to sell you, right? Parties are identified. The subject, this dry erase marker, and quantity, 1, right? This 1 dry erase marker. I haven't even specified a price term, but that doesn't matter because this contract, the sale of a dry erase marker, which is a good, so we're in the UCC, I don't even have to specify the price in order to form a valid offer. The UCC is willing to plug the gaps. The UCC will come up with a price term if we need one. I don't have to specify it to form a valid offer. Okay, so that's the main thing we're looking at. Now, if it was for a service, obviously common law, price has got to be there. Remember, so if I was saying something like I'm offering to write something for you with this dry erase marker for whatever price, then you would have to specify the price. If we're dealing with the common law, which remember is services or real estate contracts, price term has to be included. So those are your 3 elements and most of the issues that you can see in your offer analysis. Remember, to form a valid offer, there's gonna be 3 requirements. The offeror must manifest an objective willingness objective willingness to enter into the agreement. The offeror must create a power of acceptance, and the offeree and the offeror is going to have to specify all the necessary terms to the deal, which remember, it's gonna be a little different. Common law, you do have to specify the price. UCC, you don't have to specify the price. But guys, that's gonna be everything you need to know for your offer analysis. With that, I'll leave you to it. I wish you all the absolute best, and I'll see you at our next video.